Welcome everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss about green and green leaf manuring in soil. What is green manure? Green manure nothing but it's a plant material which is comprises of green tissues which will be incorporated into the soil for improving the soil properties, especially for improving the physical property and supplying the nutrient to the growing crops. What is green manure? So using this green manure, agriculture practice can be done through ploughing or burying the green tissues to convert into decomposed product, which will produce all kind of nutrient to the growing crops. So this is what the green manure is called. The status of green manuring crops in India. So if you ask everywhere the green manuring practices is involved in agriculture means no. So only certain states like Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Punjab, Odisha, they are growing green manure crop prior to their main crop. So at present, only very limited, that is 6.7 million hectare around green manure will be grown in the entire country. Out of the net sowing area, 142 million hectare of the country, only 6.7 million hectare is green manuring is practicing. So it is very lesser amount. And desirable characteristics of green manuring crops. So it is a multi-purpose, not focusing on improving a single property or going to give you a benefit of single areas. It is a multi-purpose, short duration as well as fast growing nature of the plants. The high nutrient accumulation ability, it can hold more amount of nutrient and it can tolerate adverse climatic condition. And high water use efficiency means little water is enough for their better growth and early onset of biological nitrogen fixation and high seed production capacity and long seed viability. Their produced seed also showing a good quality and ease in incorporation and pest and disease resistant. It is very important one. And deep root system, high biomass production, wider ecological adaptability and the ability to grow in poor soil. That's why some certain green manure crops are recommended for a problematic soil, such alkaline soil. Danger is a good green manure crop that can be grown on alkaline soil. Coming to the type of green manuring. So the type green manuring practices can be done in two ways. One is green manure in situ. Another one is green leaf manuring. Green manuring in situ nothing but growing of the green manure crop in the field itself, and this can be incorporated into the soil by certain practices that we'll see. And green leaf manuring nothing but refers to turning into the soil green leaves and twigs collected from shrubs. Twigs or branches collected from shrub. Some trees can be grown in the Bandi area or away from the agriculture practices. From there, we can collect the branches or twigs, and this can be put into the field. So afterwards, after sometimes we used to give a irrigation and will make them decompose. But the green manuring is not like that. The seed can be sowing in a broadcasting method on the field which is going to be a main crop in future. Okay, so before growing a main crop, earlier we can sow the seeds of green manure plants so that it can be grown. When it is attain a certain stage, it will be incorporated into the soil, so thereby the entire nutrient of green manure can be reached to the soil. So this is the main difference between green manure and green leaf manure. Some of the crops you can see here: daincha, Sesbania aculeata, Sanam, Protalaria gentiana, Cowpea, Vigna sinensis, Pisum sativum, Trifolium alexandrinum, Medicago sativa. So these are all the crops can be grown in the field and it can be converted into green manuring to the succeeding crops. Yeah, you can see this is Crotalaria gentiana, Sesbania rostrata, then cowpea, Sesbania aculeata, and a cluster bean. This also can be used as green manure crop. And among all, Sesbania rostrata is a very important player where it can produce a nodule in the stem part, stem nodulating. So thereby it can have more amount of nitrogen in their concentration. So it will be very benefit for the source of nitrogen. And GLM nothing but green leaf manure. So what all the crops are suitable for green leaf manure? Apart from the green manure that we have seen in the previous slides, some crops like legumes, especially Glycidia and wild daincha, karanja. Karanja means pungam, Pongamia pinnata, wild indigo, and Glycidia. These can be uh, uh, collected from the small trees. Okay, so like this, small trees, and it can be incorporated into the soil because they are having rich amount of nutrient. The entire nutrient can be added to the soil for the better growth of succeeding crops. Apart from that, you can see some species can be used as green leaf manure. They are Cassia fistula, Sesbania grandiflora, Pongamia glabra, Glycidia sepium, and Leusana leucocephala, Calotropis, then Delanix regia, Azadiracta indica, Peltophorum ferruginum. So these are all the species also can be utilized as a green leaf manure crops. You can see the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium content in green manure as well as green leaf manure. So the green manure crops, when you are growing these crops, total area gentiana, Sesbania aculeata, Sesbania species, so you can get more than 2% of nitrogen. But at the same time, when you are bringing from outside, like forestry leaf, green weeds, Pongamia leaf, any leaf twigs, especially Pongamia glabra, so you can get like 1.2, 0.8, and 3.31. So this is a very excellent source, Pungam oil, sorry, Pungam tree producing Pungam oil. Yeah, right. This Bogamia is having 3.31 percentage, but the phosphorus percentage is always less than 1 percentage, having zero point 0.6, zero point 0.5, and zero point 0.3, zero point 0.4, this range. The potassium content is like 1 to 2 percentage, or some occasion it can reach more than 2 percentage. And in green leaf manure, the potassium content is very low, except the Pongamia leaf, Pungam leaf. Okay, it has 2.39 percentage. And biomass production, it is very, very important. The dry matter, how much amount of dry matter it can produce in tons per hectare. You can see the highest dry matter can be produced by Sanam, that is 30.6 tons per hectare. And among the nitrogen concentration or content, the same Sanam having 134. Okay, this much amount of nitrogen is accumulated in this dry matter. But you can see the age should not exceed more than 60, because the 60 days will be a in up to 60 days the green manure will be in succulent in nature, that can be easily destructed by the soil microorganism. Once it is reached more than 70 days or 80 days, the it is very tough to break the molecules of the green manure crops by the microorganism. So that's why once it is attained the flower, you can start incorporating the green manure or green leaf manure here. And the nitrogen is very, very higher in Sanam and Sesbania, that is 134 and 133. And the next one is green. Why green manuring is important? Because naturally our Indian soils are deficient in nitrogen and phosphorus. At the same time, the green manure contains more amount of nitrogen and appreciable amount of phosphorus, depending on the type of species we are targeting. So this nitrogen phosphorus can be supplied to the uh, soil, so it can balance the deficient nitrogen and phosphorus in the soil. And the age of incorporation, so the green manure crop should be incorporated into the soil at a proper age of crop. In the previous slides, I have been explained it should not exceed more than 60 days. That is a 2 months time. So it should be turned into a soil at flowering stage, which is about 7 to 8 weeks. You should not keep the green manures beyond 7 to 8 weeks after sowing. So danger, attain maximum growth up to 8 weeks after sowing. And while sun 8 to 10 weeks after sowing. The 8-week old green manure is crop is succulent enough, means having more watery content so that it can decompose very easily. Otherwise, once the water is drained from the plant when it is maturing, the fiber formation will be taking up more so that it is very difficult to decompose. The decomposition itself takes 4 months or 5 months of time. So this succulent enough green manure crop will respond very well under rice condition, and you can see 7 to 8 week stage is the optimum stage for incorporating the green manure crops in the soil. And principles of green manure: the green manure crop should be grown in which type, means which green manure can be grown. So depending on the soil condition, it may vary. Depending on the climatic condition, it may vary. So you have to choose a best green manure crop. That's why which green manure. Second, when should be grown, the time of sowing, how much time it will take, whether the water will be available or not, and at what stage it should be buried. So after 6 weeks or 7 weeks or 8 weeks, or in what age, what time, that has to be understood. And what should be the time lag between the burying of the green manure crop and sowing of the next crop to allow decomposition? Because once you bury the green manure grown on the soil, the decomposition itself will take 3 months. So that will eat almost one season of cropping. So you have to think of the time lag between the incorporation and the complete decomposition of the green manure crop. And this green manure crop should be raised by using higher seed rate than usual grain crops. So always you have to uh, add extra seeds to the crops rather than the regular seed rate. And the next terminology you can see, that is brown manuring. This was first started in Australia in the year 1996 at New South Wales, where this techniques grow sesbania in standing rice crop and kill them with a help of herbicide. So using a selective herbicide, the sesbania alone can be killed. So the sesbania starts decomposing and finally it will attain brown in color. So that is called brown manuring. Okay. And this brown manuring practice introduced where sesbania crop at 20 kg per hectare, which will be broadcasted 3 days after rice sowing. Okay. And you have to allow it for growing 25 to 30 days and followed by spraying 2,4-D ethyl ester at 5 kg per hectare, or AIR bispiripac sodium 20 to 25 gram, and which supplied up to 15 to 20 kg nitrogen per hectare with biomass of 10 to 12 tonnes per hectare. So see sesbania, okay, you can allow it for to grow for 25 to 30 days followed by the applying of 2,4-D ethyl ester or bispiripac sodium. Okay, so this will be giving this 20 kg per hectare growing sesbania will give 15 to 20 kg of nitrogen per hectare, because the biomass you can see 10 to 12 tonnes per hectare is very less biomass, but even it is giving more amount of nitrogen, that is 15 to 20 kg nitrogen per hectare. So this practice also followed in maize, fuel millet, sorghum, not only in rice. So the broadleaf crop like soybean 240 cannot be used. So this is very important. You have to choose. The 240 can be used for whether it is suitable for the broadleaf or narrow leaf crops and all soybean. Okay. And this is the brown manuring practice. You can see here the sesbania can grow in between the field rows. So after 20 to 30 days, the 2,4-D or bispheric sodium will be sprayed here. So it will be finally incorporated into the soil and it will become a brown in color, brown in nature, so that it is called brown manuring. You can see the difference between the green manuring and the brown manuring. So here the you have to use tillage practices prior to seed set, usually around flowering. So you should use tillage equipment to incorporate the green manuring crops growing on the soil. But in this brown manuring, need not to do those tillage practice. So it is called no-till version. Simply, you are going to kill the sesbania by applying certain amount of herbicide. And the risk of surface erosion is high in green manuring, but not here because it is also acting as a mulching agent and moisture is necessary for incorporation here. Water content amount of water requirement is very high, but here moisture is convert, not that much of water is required as like a green manuring. The microbial population is necessary for decomposition, but here chemical desiccation is happening. This green manuring can be completely decomposed the uh, plants or green manures using a microbial population, but here chemical desiccation. What are the advantages of brown manuring over green manuring? See, the organic matter tends to be preserved. First point, rather in brown manuring, not in green manuring, saving of fuel and labor cost. For green manuring, we have to grow it and incorporating using a machineries so that it is very fuel and labor cost. So there is potentially better weed control because we are growing and applying a herbicide, the risk due to erosion is reduced, more soil water is conserved. So from this slide, you can understand the brown manuring is better than green manuring. What all the factors are affecting decomposition? So organism, first factor is organism, whether it is aerobic or anaerobic. Aerobic, presence of oxygen. So once the oxygen is present, decomposition will start very fastly and it will go in the same trend. And anaerobic condition always showing the slow decomposition process. So the major organisms are involving here is bacteria, fungi, and actinomyces. The second factor is temperature. Depending on the temperature, also the decomposition process will differ. So 30 to 35 degree Celsius is very optimum for the uh, factors. Sorry, one of the factor for influencing the decomposition and aeration. So I already uh, telling you that aerobic condition is leads to rapid decomposition. So that aeration always making the best condition in the soil for decomposition. Moisture, proper decomposition and the growth of organism. Water is very must, and soil factor, physical, chemical, and biological clay soil decomposition is slow. The clay soil, when it is high, decomposition is slow. Physical, chemical, and biological clay soil. Okay. Nature of green menus. If it is succulent, quick decomposition, not succulent, slow decomposition. So what are the benefits of green manure in crop production? You can see it increases the organic matter. Ultimately, we are adding some external input in the form of fresh material, so that will decompose and final product is organic matter and stimulate the activity of soil microorganism. Hence, it is a bio-based material. The microorganism is activity is increasing and returning the different plant nutrient through the surfaces. Okay. So the nutrient content in the plant samples, sorry, in the green menus completely added to the soil, so that all nutrient is returned to the soil itself and improves the soil structure, aeration, permeability, infiltration. The physical property are improving so that the chemical property also increasing. So it reduces the soil loss because it is acting as a covering substance so that the soil erosion will not happen, and this crop have some residual effect because it is supplying different amount of nutrient so that it helps for the better growth to the next crop, not immediate crop. Next crop definitely it will supply all amount of nutrient, and it is also acting for reclamation of a problematic soil, alkaline soil. uh, pH can be reduced because of the decomposing nature or decomposing material, and it is also act as a cover or catch crop so that it prevents soil erosion, conserve moisture, prevent nutrient leaching, everything. So finally, the leguminous green manure is grown. They fix the atmospheric nitrogen by the roots and improve the nitrogen status of the soil. So there are certain limitations. One is under rain-fed condition, the germination and growth of succeeding crops may be affected due to depletion of moisture for the growth because of the insufficient of water content. The decomposition of green manuring will not happen rapidly. Slowly it will take. So water is very important factor for decomposition progressing. And this decomposition period occupies at least 75 to 80 days, which means loss of one crop season. So after incorporating the green manure or green leaf manure, it will take almost 3 months time for complete decomposition of the green manure. Incidence of pests and diseases may increases because you are doing broadcast excess amount of seeds you are sowing rather than the recommended level. So it may invites the pest and diseases problem, so that you have to take a careful action on it, and this may compete for time, labor, and water. I have been telling that the labor cost, water availability, and time, everything is very, very tedious, so that you have to balance the uh, green manuring and inorganic fertilizer application, and non-availability of good quality seeds is another important limitation. So if you, even if you want to grow a green manure in your field, it is very difficult to get very good quality of the green manure seeds, so that also you have to look for. Thank you.